Okay. Hello once again, everybody. So today I decided to switch gears a little bit. So what's going on right now is I have a bug
Okay.
with.
Hello once again,
Hang on a
everybody.
second. Forgot to mute
Okay.
myself.
So today, I decided.
Um, yeah. So basically, what's going on is I have a bug with the Firebase turrets. Basically, they're just not respawning. I don't know why. I've tried a bunch of different settings. I've tried running in Tag Test and in Sapien, and I just can't figure it out. The only people who can probably help me is Rejected Shotgun and Green Knight and a bunch of other of the Halo modders. But right now, they just, they either haven't been able to figure it out themselves, or they're just busy with something else. So, until I can basically get Rejected to help me, which might be later tonight, I've decided to start work on the elephant. So here I have the ripped elephant, and basically I'm just going to be spending the stream remodeling it. So yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty simple, casual stream, nothing super sophisticated. Yeah. I'm basically just kind of waiting for tech support. Happy 2:30 a.m. stream. What are you talking about? It's 8:34 p.m. for me. What side of the planet are you on? Also, I don't think that's the right material. No, it is not. That is elephant interior somehow. But yeah, pretty casual stream. I'm just gonna be, working on this. Don't save. There we go. Finally, someone streams. Thank God. Right? Ah, UK. Base Central Time Enjoyer. Central Time is best time. That's why it's the center. Is that Demon of Song Red Elephant? No, this is just the Halo Wars elephant. I've been losing my mind. Halo Mods has been dead. Nothing going on there. No one modding. Drake alone without lead. Yeah, it has been kind of quiet lately. I don't know what's up with that. I'm still doing stuff. But yeah, most of the people I've been trying to consult about this bug I have are basically they're just MIA. Don't know what's going on. Okay, rendering, color management. Wait, I know the problem here. RJ's getting a haircut. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, I'm not much help with your issues. Hey, it's okay. It just, it is what it is. Like, it's one of those things, you know, that's the nature of Halo modding in general. It's just, there's so many things that are just an absolute mystery to the community. Yeah. We don't have like old Bungie developers on tap to just kind of help us troubleshoot stuff, which sucks. Or at least I don't personally know any. And like if we did, they'd have to basically try to trace their memory back 20 freaking years, so it's not necessarily a reasonable expectation. All right. Funnily enough, we don't have Bungie devs on tap, but we have some 343 ones. Can you send them my way? If they have some inside knowledge, I'd love. I mean, like I also technically have access to. I have channels of communication with 343 devs as well. I just actually I haven't talked to him in a while. I really kind of need to. Change material map type. I actually have been meaning to congratulate one of my old coworkers who managed to get his credits in, or get his name in the credits of Campaign Evolved. If I remember correctly, he got to do a little bit of work right before our contracts ended, and I just want to be like, hey, it's you! But I just keep forgetting to reach out, which is bad of me. I should do that. Change material map type. What the heck? Okay. Another problem with Halo modding, sometimes things just don't work. One time I tried to import something and it refused. Just waited a couple hours and it worked, no difference. Dude, I know. I don't know what it is, but like I swear to God, there's gremlins in the code, man. Like the tools have a mind of their own. And it's like, sometimes it's literally not your fault. It's just, they just work when they want to. Be like, hey, can I import this cube, just this bare cube? And they're like, I don't really feel like it. Alexis and the Reborn team are the ones with most of the info. They're the ones building Halo mods with all the documentation. Yeah, but they're not super responsive most of the time. And I'm not like, I'm not calling them out or anything. I just like, they just, I don't know. They're not super chatty or talkative. And also it's like, I have asked them a few things before, and like I've asked if they're like up for collabing and stuff, and they seem to want to just kind of like keep a lot of their energy and focus onto Halo Reborn, which I'm not faulting them for that, but it's just that most of the time that I need help or could really use a hand, it's like, well, we're pretty like limited on our time and availability, and we'd rather just like keep it on Halo Reborn, yeah. EU people go burr. The tools need to sleep, Yeah, they do. Are there regular NPCs in the mod yet? Not in the main one, but eventually I would love to make a firefight map. We can use the crane to pick people up. Can we use the crane to pick people up? Oh, man. Not in Reach. That would depend on early mover physics, which Reach unfortunately does not have. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and split all of this up. No, not that. Just like with Drake, if you need a tool to do something, tools don't ship. Let me know. I'll see what can be done. Dude, thank you. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate it. I've been tinkering around with Bonobo, and already it's so smooth. It just operates so cleanly. It's so incredibly nice to have a tool that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, does regular Foundation run on like 32 bits or something? It's just like, it's so slow. Whereas Baboon, I said Bonobo, I meant Baboon. Baboon just runs like a normal Windows 10 program that takes advantage of all my memory. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. And I am going to definitely use it more and more as time goes on, and especially as it gets more improvements. Hi, Scoodly. It's been a while. I hope you've been well. I've been about as well as I can be. I appreciate that. Yeah, not gonna lie. I am at the point where job hunting is like starting to get pretty pertinent. It's, as you know, I come from the game industry. I've been in the industry for about 13 years, and it's pretty rough right now. The jobs are very scarce, and what jobs there are get snatched up pretty much instantly by the literal 1,000 applicants applying, like most applicants of which are also like big time industry veterans. It's tough. But yeah, I am probably gonna like start looking a little bit more earnestly in the near future, but in all honesty, I'm also kind of like keeping my sights aimed outside of the game industry, because it's just like, I don't see it as having like great long-term stability anymore, like at all. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I guess you technically asked, so this is what you get for asking somebody how their day has been. But yeah, I definitely am like in the process of kind of figuring out what I want to do going forward. Obviously, I'm still Halo modding, and obviously I'm trying to grow the channel and see if I can start making some YouTube money from that. And I might branch out and like grow the channel into something outside of just Halo modding. I can do 3D print projects. I can, you know, do like my own independent game development stuff. Yeah, I can definitely start to grow the channel more and diversify it a little bit. I'm also thinking about the state that I live in has a workforce commission, and like there's a handful of programs that offer free training and re-education courses to help you like break into other industries and stuff. And one of them I saw was advanced manufacturing, and that definitely piques my interest because some of you may know that I'm really big into 3D printing, and I 3D modeled a lot of stuff that I've printed. And so getting more into that field definitely piques my interest and curiosity a lot. You need a typical on stream, just like $100. I need to figure out how to do that. I do have a Ko-fi. Let me just go ahead and drop it in here and pin it. Yes, if you guys like what I do and you want to support me, I encourage you to donate to my Ko-fi? Coffee? I don't know how you pronounce it. But anyway, you want to give me some tips? You want to send a little bit of lunch money my way? I would greatly appreciate it, and it really genuinely would sorely help out. So yeah, I pinned the link to my Ko-fi in the YouTube chats, if you are so inclined. Would you mod other games? I absolutely would mod other games. In fact, I was just talking today or not today, but this week to some of my friends about, like, I could basically start a Patreon where people donate and just, like, watch me mod other games. Because it's like, there are so many other games people love to see, like, their OCs in, right? For, like, I don't know, Fallout, Baldur's Gate, Helldivers, all sorts of stuff. The only reason I don't right now is just because I'm so passionate about Halo specifically, and that's, like, my main interest. And I just don't play a whole lot of other games, sorry to say. I have been so locked in on Halo for the past, oh God, like 5 years or something. I've hardly played any other games at all. Like, every once in a while a new game comes out, like I'll play the new Doom or the new Assassin's Creed. Well, not the new Assassin's Creed, but like recently I did a quick playthrough of AC Brotherhood, and that was a nice trip down memory lane. But for the most part, I don't really play games much these days, but I should, just because it's like, it's the industry I'm in. It's a great way to bond with friends. It's a great way to, like, build community and meet people and stuff. And I absolutely could definitely grow the channel by just modding other games. I'd kill for a mod of BG3 that adds Hull stars to play with. I have no idea what BG3 means. Sorry. I do apologize. I am, like, I wouldn't say quite a boomer when it comes to games, but, like, I am kind of stuck in my era. Like, I'm very much a product of the quote-unquote golden age of Xbox Live, right? The 360 era. Like, those are the kind of games I am most nostalgic and passionate for, and those are consequently, like, pretty much the only games I do play, other than, like, the occasional... Dude, I don't even play Call of Duty. I haven't played Call of Duty in like 10 years. I tried the first Modern Warfare, like the remake of Modern Warfare, in like 2019 when it came out, and I thought it was pretty neat, but like my interest kind of quickly fell off after that. But yeah, like, most modern games just don't really interest me. Yeah, I played Helldivers a handful of times, but not much. And I know, and I'm not saying there aren't good games. I'm not saying there aren't good modern games. Despite, like, you know, all the discourse about, like, oh, modern gaming sucks. There are good games these days, even still, with everything going on. But I don't know. It's just like, my passion has been for a while now. I spend more time making games and modding games than playing games. Shit, like, I don't even play Halo hardly at all anymore. Like, I almost never just sit down and just play Halo. I played Campaign Evolved when it came out. Or actually, it took me a couple days just to sit down and play through Campaign Evolved. And obviously I played Infinite a decent bit for like a year or two. But yeah, I don't play many games these days. The games I actively play are all older than me. Quite funny. I mean, old games are good, man. It's like, it's not just, you know, typical internet discourse of like, oh man, old games were the best. They were better. Like, they genuinely were like an objectively better experience in many cases. Like, not least of which because back then, there was no such thing as a day one patch. They had to have a solid quality product before discs were printed, right? There wasn't a way to, like, you know, promise a finished product after the point of sale, right? So developers had to actually get it right the first time. And the ones that didn't, well, yeah, SOL. But, yeah, man, old games, they also just, like, there was also the fact that, like, there wasn't seasonal releases, unless World of Warcraft, right? Like, World of Warcraft was arguably one of the, not the first, but like, the most prominent, seasonal subscription-based game, and, like, that was very, very novel back then. All other games pretty much had to, you know, just give you a complete product right out the door. And yeah, I just think that that's like obviously a far more consumer friendly form of development and design, you know. Put the Lich King in Halo. Reach you won't. Dude, I don't know nothing about Warcraft. I'm serious. There's like literally like 3 or 4 franchises that I'm even interested in or that I've played. And it's like, it's basically just been Call of Duty, Halo, Assassin's Creed. I played a bit of Gears of War back in the day, but like not multiplayer. I like I've said, I'm not much of a multiplayer guy. So like Gears and multiplayer never really interested me. It was also really kind of frustrating. I don't know. The Gears of War's like gameplay to me just like never really got me hooked. The third person camera and the cover system was just like very trippy, and I never really had fun playing it. Yeah. Reskinning the H3 elephant? No, this is the Halo Wars elephant. It's a totally different model. I literally don't play anything anymore. I play your mod and Permafrost, that's it. Go buy a game. Not spending $20. Dude, I know. And it's like, not only are there like a billion games to choose from now, like seriously, 1,000 games coming out every month, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's also the fact that like nobody wants to pay, you know, full price for a game anymore. And okay, when I say full price, I'm being a little biased here. I think a full price is $60, because that's just like what I'm used to AAA games costing, and I typically play AAA games. And it's like I understand that people just can't afford that anymore. Like, especially not for a game that's not worth it, right? But it's like, regardless of the quality of the game, people just don't want to pay that kind of price anymore. Everyone's broke, and $60 is not a small amount of money. And like, the craziest thing is, like, 15 or 20 years ago, $60 would get you like a solid game, like a full solid game. $60 would get you Halo 3 or, you know, Call of Duty 4 or, you know, Battlefield 3 or whatever, right? That was the standard. But I looked it up, and due to inflation, $60 back in like 2002 or whatever, that's like $115 today. And yet we are still like basically rioting anytime a game charges like over $60. And it's like, I'm not even saying that it's like wrong to scoff at that, because again, I get it. Everybody just like can't afford to spend that much money on games these days. But it's like, it's also, you can't, there is an economic reality that like $60 in yesterday's money is quite literally $115 today. And so it's like, there's many reasons I disagree with companies for raising prices, but this is like, I can't logically be like, oh, well, you're just price gouging. It's like, no, money has literally inflated. Now that said, I do think that like for $115 or whatever, people should get their damn money's worth. You know, they should get a finished product that's like mostly bug free and is fun and doesn't like have extra microtransactions on top of $115 and whatnot. Yada yada yada. I think that like people should get a quality product for that price. But yeah. Can't afford to buy a new GTA, is too expensive for me. I'm gonna wait for it. Yeah, I know, and that's also on top of the fact that like, you gotta upgrade your hardware too, because it's like Nvidia and Epic are pushing, you know, new rendering technologies that are only possible on, you know, bigger, beefier hardware. They're basically using methods that encourage studios to not optimize. Like literally that's the narrative, right? Whenever you watch you know, some of the GDC panels talking about like all these new technologies like nanite and lumen and substrate and like generated frames and stuff like that, the overarching narrative is that you can create whatever you want. Artists are like no longer limited by technology and hardware. And it's like, but they are. You're just getting a tool that allows you to, or rather encourages you to flat out ignore optimization, because you can fake performance with generated frames, and also the assumption that people have like beefier hardware, and like that's what I really just fundamentally disagree with. I think it's gross. I think it's icky. Oh god. I think Max also just crashed on me or froze on me. But yeah, it's like most people can't afford a PS5, most people can't afford a new Xbox, and most people can't afford, you know, a new graphics card. So it's like, that's why I think that AAA is kind of like careening towards a bottleneck. And I mean, like, also, let's be real, gaming as a hobby is just becoming a luxury. It's a luxury item. Games are catering more towards people with deeper pockets, which is a smaller group of people, but that smaller group of people can afford, you know, to buy all the cosmetics. And yeah, it's becoming more of a luxury item or luxury hobby, unfortunately. They could allow you all to import render models way above the limits. I ain't doing it though because it just makes people sloppy. Okay. If you can't allow it, I would actually ask you to, because if people are making mods that kill frame rates, then it's like that's on them. That's on the players to complain about and the modders to fix. I will say there's a lot of stuff I'm trying to do that I just need higher poly counts for, and things like, you know, I think you have to just like, you got to admit that Halo's old school limits on texture sizes and memory and polygons, that's just not that's just like kind of arbitrarily restrictive in this day and age, right? I feel like I would just ask people well, I guess you specifically, to just unleash whatever we can get away with. And then we'll figure out optimization after the fact. We got to do the experimentation to see like how much can we push it before people's rigs start, you know, complaining. Because I just want the freedom to be able to be creative. Like, in all honesty, if hang on, let me try to find an auto save. If I could, I would be doing this project in Unreal, because Unreal just has like that lack of limitations, whereas the Halo engines are incredibly limited and restrictive. But like, that's, yeah, the only reason that I'm doing this in the old Halo engines is because basically of EULA. I'm just trying to make sure that I can create a Halo project that's not violating any kind of like IP or EULA or anything like this, because it's like, in a literal sense, I am using the Halo mod tools as intended. 343 officially released these mod tools, and I'm just using them to their maximum capability as was intended and designed and permitted. Whereas, you know, a lot of Halo fan projects, some of them have nominal tolerance from Microsoft and 343, and some don't. And at all times, they reserve the right to basically send a C&D to whoever they want. And it's like, they're nominally tolerant of some ones, but not others. And like, some people have been able to like have a decent relationship, and some have been like asked like, hey, can you stop? With my method though, again, this is a mod, not a actual like published title. Not making any money, but more importantly, I'm not like using any source code or eating into their bottom line or doing anything that 343/Microsoft did not explicitly, you know, allow in the exact like, you know, parameters that they outlined. That's why, like, I won't, for example, I won't import, I won't rip infinite assets and throw them in here, right? The only time I'll rip models is to use as a guide, as a reference, and then I completely remodel it myself, thus making it essentially a new asset from scratch, and it's not using, like, the original source code or anything. But yeah. It's really push and pull. Inflation pushes a need for more profit to run the studio. The wider audience with more money getting into gaming pulls the studios cater more people. Niche is lost. It's not about niche. It's about it's just about the fact that it's honestly just economics. Average people just have less money. In relative terms, not in literal terms. Like, technically, we all have more money in terms of, like, a gross numerical value than people from, like, a decade ago or a decade before that. But the problem is the value of that money has not, like, caught up with inflation. So we're technically, our purchasing power has gone down because things have gotten more expensive. And, like, honestly, people are not able to buy as much with the same amount of money. So yeah, the fact that, like, most consumers are less and less able to afford new games and new hardware to run those games, that's the main factor. But yeah, no, it's never been about niche. Halo has never been a niche game, right? The only time it's ever been niche is in the modern day, when it's like, it's got like kind of a shrinking player base of, let's be honest, a bunch of millennials who were kids in the 2000s, right? Kids or teenagers in the 2000s. or even young adults. Like they're like Halo was big on like college campuses and stuff. It was probably, honestly, it was kind of designed for probably college age people more than teens or kids. Did you see the new Halo McDonald's ad? It looks like a Blur Studio cutscene. Yeah, they really put a lot of effort into that thing. Does Reach allow higher than 512 cube maps? I don't know. You tell me. You're the tech wizard. I'm just an artist. Tech people just like do stuff, and I'm like, I like your funny words, Magic Man. One of these days I really ought to learn basic coding, though. Like, I feel like in the field I'm in, it's kind of just a fundamental skill that I'm eventually going to have to learn. Or like, you know, I guess vibe code stuff, which I don't necessarily want to do, because I have a lot of friends who are coders, and like, they've told me how it just introduces so many errors you have to fix. And like, unless you're actually a programmer who knows how to debug those errors, it could just take so much long to clean up the code. I also just like having those fundamental skills. They come in really handy in ways you don't expect. I'm about 80% done importing the entire leaked tags into Halo Reach mod tool. What do you mean leaked tags? Did you... No. Vibe coding is a skill within itself. You don't know the language syntax and how it works. You're just basically letting the slopper think for itself. Wait. Vibe coding is a skill in itself. If you don't know the language syntax and how it works, you're just basically letting it... Well, then that just sounds like you need to actually learn coding before you even touch vibe coding. So in 2011, the Reach tags build. The snapshot of the tool is at the time all the cut content. I'm currently converting all the tags to be usable? Interesting. But yeah, that kind of goes back to my point of like, maybe I should just learn coding. Let's see. There we go. Working, fire-based turret, human, elephant. Okay, working. Where's elephant? Let me message Drake, see if he's still on. You don't need to learn coding, like you don't need to know how to write it, you just need to know which language you should be using and what techniques for a task should be used. I'm gonna be real, That's basically hieroglyphics to me, unless I know basic coding fundamentals. And what you are describing sounds like basic coding fundamentals. So it's like, what I'm saying is, like, obviously, I don't think you need to be an expert in coding or even be adept at coding. But from what you're describing, it does sound like you at least need basic coding knowledge, right? In order to even, like, start to play with these tools. Learning code will certainly help you in vibe coding. Well, yeah. Like, if you can just code, period, like, as a coder, then you can definitely vibe code. It's kind of like how if you are a professional artist, you know, you can obviously use generative AI, but also just, like, make pictures yourself. I used it once, and it was like 4 a.m. and I couldn't think straight. It asked me to give a rather basic script that thankfully did not check, and it blew up my script. I thought vibe coding was just letting the AI do all the coding with no supervision. If you're checking the work and tweaking it, then I don't think you're exactly vibe coding. Well, to be fair, that is actually, like... I mean, like, yeah, it depends. If you want to make a functional, stable, final product, it's gonna need tweaks and revisions and cleanup, right? Vibe coding is just generating code. You sit there prompting, you still have to test it. Have you thought about talking to the person who made the Halo Reach Star Wars Battlefront mod and how they added all AI units into multiplayer? Oh, you mean Abyss? Yeah, I can reach out to Abyss. I just, like, I'm not trying to implement AI right now. I'm still focusing on just building out all the vehicles and then the buildings. And honestly, like, AI implementation is going to come way down the line. I first want to make the most, like, basic core assets before I start getting more experimental with it, you know? But yes, I have Abyss in DMs. I can definitely talk to him about it. That is good to know, though, that, like, apparently AI in Reach multiplayer is possible. It's very reassuring and exciting. Oof. Yeah, boy, this is definitely more of just a relaxing stream. Just getting to model something. I'm starting to go longer periods without actually modeling anything anymore. Which, it's kind of weird. It's like, I am officially a 3D artist, and it's like, doing actual art for me is like riding a bike or like exercising a muscle. Like, I'm never gonna forget necessarily how to ride a bike, but at the same time, you gotta exercise once in a while to keep that memory nice and strong and keep those artistic muscles fit, you know? Another way to explain is one of those vehicles. Once he has all the vehicles needed, he can just use them on each map without having to make them alongside each map. Yeah, it also, there's other stuff that can't feasibly be built out until I have all the vehicle models, right? Like the interior of the buildings is going to be determined in many ways by the scale and dimensions of the vehicles. There we go. Working on modeling a constructor sentinel right now to throw into my own Reach mod. Oh, that's cool. So what's the plan with the elephant? Small mobile spawn base? Yeah. Basically what I'm thinking is I'm gonna parent some spawn points to the elephant, and you just drive around and it can be a mobile spawn point. There was definitely several instances where the people kind of got trapped inside the bases because they were just getting pummeled by bombers and aircraft. And the turrets are definitely going to fix that. But until I get some tech support with the turrets, I'm going to work on the elephant, where with the elephant, if you deploy the elephant and you leave it on one part of the map, there's at least still a chance that you can spawn outside of the base. You know? Alright. Y'all, give me a second to use the restroom. Okay, I'm back. Didn't Tanner fix early physics? I don't know if he fixed it. I think what it was is if you just turn them off for scarabs become actually usable. Cheer stream, let's go. Yeah. I've been trying to learn Blender so I can improve my own mapping skills. It's one of those things I took at and can never work out where to start. What do you mean by mapping skills? I'm curious. Like map making? Like terrain sculpting and painting and stuff? Making multiplayer maps? Oh shit. God damn it. I really hope YouTube doesn't strike down the video because it started playing the Sonic soundtrack. Basically every time even like a sliver of a second of a copyrighted song plays, I get a notification saying your video can't be monetized, and I have to like take action and like have the algorithm try to scrub the song from the video. It's really annoying. It's kind of why like the only things I can play is the Halo soundtracks from the first like 4 games, and then Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2. And if I like even in the Halo 2 OST, there's a couple of songs that are copyrighted by like the original bands, like the original artists. Not Marty and Michael Salvatore, but like on Halo 2 they did some collabs with a couple different artists. Obviously Breaking Benjamin most notably. But there were a couple others that were very experimental, but they are copyrighted. So when YouTube hears just a glimmer of them, they get out the they lay the smack down on the video. It's like, you can't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just part of the soundtrack, man. Busy dying inside while studying for an engineering design test that's keeping my soul alive, thankfully. Oh man, I feel you. Dude, if I could maybe not start over, but if I could like do something else, I think I would go back to school for engineering. I'm very passionate about making machines do things. Um, I have technically worked as an engineer before. I also, like I said, I do a lot of 3D printing, and I'd really like to get into advanced manufacturing. But anyway, stop. Enough making it about me. I wish you all the luck. Good luck on that test, and stay strong. Engineering would be so boss, yeah. Dude, one of my favorite sources of serotonin is just watching CNC machines just carve metal. Oh, I love those compilations. Ain't Halo 4 notorious for it? Not as much as Halo 2. It's usually Halo 2 that gets me in trouble with YouTube. I think the copyrighted songs from other artists are in a second Halo 2 playlist. The first playlist is fine. Yeah, I'd have to look for it, because it doesn't... The playlist I found is, like, all just a single playlist. It's not broken up in parts. I think the copyrighted song... Oh, wait. Hey, thank you, Kevin. I suppose it would just be more modeling interiors, props, and so on. I don't actually mod Halo. I mod the classic Battlefront 2 because I'm a Star Wars nerd. Ah, man. Relatable. Yeah. Love classic Battlefront. So nostalgic for me. Modern Star Wars Battlefront, it's got a lot going for it, but it's just like, it never really scratched that itch. And I'm not even talking about, like, you know, all the controversy and stuff. I'm not even upset at that, because it's like, as somebody who followed that game so closely, honest to God, most of the controversy was very just overblown, misunderstood, misrepresented, misreported. And like gamers just could not be convinced of reality. Not to say there wasn't plenty of very valid criticism. There absolutely was. But I don't know. I just feel like anything made by EA, kind of like 343, it's like EA breathes oxygen and it starts a Twitter meltdown. But like Battlefront 2, the valid criticisms I have is just like the fundamental design of it, man. It was just like so not Battlefront, from its gunplay to like its spawning system to its class system. It just like wasn't Battlefront, and it wasn't even Battlefield either. And that was the worst thing. It's like it felt like this weird hodgepodge between like Battlefield 1 and its own thing, but it didn't feel like Battlefront. And all I ever wanted was Battlefront with better graphics, you know? We never got that. We got mod support, and like the mods are really sick. In fact, I was one of the first people to mod it. I think I actually... No, yeah, that's right. I actually made the very first, like, mesh mod for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I made a clone airborne trooper, because I fucking love the airborne units. But, yeah, it just doesn't hit right with me. It's still fun. I just... doesn't captivate me. One, two, three, four, five, six, and that is even after all the amazing like fan-made content. Because my God, Battlefront 2 mods have gone so crazy. It really is phenomenal to see. It's just that like the fundamental design of the game holds it back for me, even with all the amazing mods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you know, every once in a while, it's nice to just like play as the Bad Batch or Delta Squad or whatever. Angels Fall First is the Battlefront 3 I've wanted. I've heard great things about that game. Bad Batch or Delta Squad, which you choosing? Probably Delta Squad. I am I'm not a boomer, but I guess I'm unk, as the kids say, and I grew up playing Republic Commando, so definitely going with Delta Squad. Just got so much nostalgia for my boys. My favorite bits in Bad Batch were the subtle callbacks to Republic Commando. First ever recording of Clanker. Yeah, true. I'm 16 and I love Republic Commando. Based. It is good stuff. Man, back in the day, one of the things I really liked was like, in a weird way, if you think about it, and I know this is a bit of a reach, but bear with me. Republic Commando almost felt like a perfect melding of both Metroid and Halo. It had like the hard, gritty, semi like military realism of Halo with like the weird alien designs of Metroid. Like Metroid's technology is a little bit more fantasy, and same with its aesthetic and its biology. And Halo is obviously like more technically quote unquote grounded because it's cassette punk, like inspired by Aliens, and like somewhere in the middle of those two, I think you'll find Republic Commando, because it's like Republic Commando is obviously more like gritty, grounded sci-fi than the rest of Star Wars, but yeah, especially like just like some things feel like they were just ripped straight out of Metroid. Like, you know how when you would melee an enemy with your little micro vibra blade in your fist, it would like splatter blood on your screen, and then like some kind of electron static field would just wipe it away. That felt very Metroid to me. You don't have to be Unk to love old games. True. Playing it on Xbox for the first time was a trip. Screen wipe was a great effect, yeah. It was also fun because back in the day, all the Star Wars games essentially use the exact same sound library, and that sound for the screen wipe effect was also in, God, tons of other Star Wars games. Like it was in Star Wars Jedi Outcast. I don't remember exactly what screen effect it was, but it was definitely used, and it just like kind of. It's like it didn't necessarily stitch everything together, but it did make everything feel familiar. I've got a modeling question for you. Why do modern Halo assets generally seem quite flat compared to older assets? Like when I look at Halo 3 MCC PC Ghost Normal, it's so much flatter than OG Halo 3. I don't know. That sounds like there's a YouTube channel called Why, just WHY, that goes over like the most subtle of changes between OG Xbox Halo and MCC Halo, and like he goes over that stuff in fine detail. I had never noticed personally, and I couldn't tell you. It might have something to do with like gamma settings or something. I don't know. Next up, the Elephant. Oh, no. Elephant equals rearrangeable architecture? Huh? They forgot normal maps? No, they have normal maps in Halo 3. I don't think there's any missing normal maps. Unless you could DM me a side-by-side screenshot. I can definitely tell you whether or not they forgot the normal maps if you send me a screenshot. My eye is so incredibly fine-tuned to pick up like whether or not the normal map is scuffed. Because it's like, you know, been my job for the last 13 years. Of like, oh man, did I bake a good normal map? I am so incredibly stingy about pristine normal maps because they're literally the foundation of all other textures when it comes to like a modern game art pipeline. You have to have perfect normal maps for everything else to work. Oh, you mean MCC 3 versus PC 3? Huh? Halo 3 is older? Ooh. I don't know, they're bad at porting? Maybe. Well, it's not even so much bad, it's just like, it's not the easiest thing to port these games. These are like, you know, 15 plus year old game engines that you're trying to modernize, and like, you're basically ripping them apart and forcing them to do things they were never designed to do. There's definitely gonna inevitably be hurdles. Just getting them to work and run smoothly on modern hardware is enough of a headache. Not to mention keeping track of everything and making sure it all lines up and is consistent. Ay, ay, ay. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How big is this vehicle compared to the tank? Let me try pulling up a Scorpion. Objects, units, vehicles. Scorpion. There we go. It's that big compared to the tank. Almost like the same width. Well, it's obviously a little like wider than the tank, but like twice as tall. And then actually, this isn't even the original elephant from Halo 3. Let me show you the Halo 3 elephant, which looks like this. And let me re-export this just so y'all can get a better idea of what we're working with here. So here's the Scorpion. And then we gotta wait for this to re-export. Oh, let me... There we go. Well, actually, it was not Aspire. It was whatever studio outsourced it to. Wait, what? Aspire managed to break half the materials when they released the Classic Collection? The Classic Collection? What? It was not Aspire? No, it was definitely not Aspire. It was like... The studios that I remember being 343 partner vendors, if I remember, is I think Skybound, I think Liquid Development, I think... what else? Certain Affinity, obviously. Certain Affinity has, you know, been porting Halo content since Halo 2. Yeah. There's a handful of other ones. And that's not counting, like, the individual contractors like I was, who was just, like, basically contracted under a generic staffing firm. Okay, got a question, though. What does the elephant do? Does it lock down and act as a spawn point? Yes, exactly. If you play Halo Wars, that is exactly what the elephant does. So as you can see, the Halo Wars elephant is like half the size of the Halo 3 elephant. Like, the Halo 3 elephant is designed to be like a walkable, playable, moving structure, basically. Whereas the Halo Wars elephant, it's just kind of like an APC, really. It's a big APC, but in relative terms, it's much smaller than the Halo 3 elephant. So it's going to be interesting. The Halo Wars elephant, it might actually benefit from being this small because it might still fit on Trepanation. And that'll be very interesting to see. It'll still be big, but the fact that it'll fit on Trepanation is going to be quite interesting. And also, you'll notice there's a turret up top, and it's the same turret as the Firebase turret. So, we're going to have a Firebase turret, and I'm thinking of making this Firebase turret be its main gun. Like letting the driver control the Firebase turret up there, just so it has something to defend itself with. We're still going to have the Warthog chain gun right there, but yeah. I feel like the vehicle you're working on should be scaled up a little bigger considering it spawns Warthogs and Marines. Does it spawn Warthogs? Really? Because it's funny you mentioned that. I'm pretty sure you can fit a Warthog in there just fine. I don't know if it's a good idea to spawn Warthogs in it, though. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. The Warthog seems to fit pretty snugly inside. Yeah. We can probably make it fit. But in any case, I don't know if I want to. That might be a little chaotic. Maybe a spawner of some kind. No, it only spawns Marines and Hellbringers. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I believe it has a mongoose on Sandtrap. That's the Halo 3 elephant. The Halo Wars elephant doesn't do that. Wait, yes it does? It does? Are you sure? Because the mongoose isn't in Halo Wars. Wait a second. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and boot up Halo Wars. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna do some quick myth busting. Skirmish, mode, deathmatch, start. Would fit mini geese. All right. Prepare to have your argument destroyed live on stream. Come on. Come on now. The Halo Wars elephant doesn't spawn vehicles at all. When I spread misinformation. Yeah, it feels like a little bit of misinformation spreading going on here. Alright. Lock it down, bud. Come on. No, not you. You go over here. You. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. The turret only deploys when in lockdown mode. Well, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. Could be interesting. Anyway, yeah, okay. It doesn't spawn warthogs. And I'm pretty sure you can't upgrade it to spawn warthogs either. Is that what power really is? Yeah, dude. Wait, this is already an upgraded elephant. It's got the blast shield and everything. So this is a fully upgraded elephant right off the rip, and it doesn't spawn vehicles. All right. Well, I guess you have been declared a fool. So says me. You foolish fool. See how I just dismantled your argument live for all to see? I'm just kidding. It wouldn't hurt to, like, if I could, like, maybe put a mongoose or jackrabbit in there, that could be pretty cool. But I'm going to stick with how it's originally designed for now. Like I said, my memory might be slipping. Nah, it makes sense. I guess, like, the lore or utility of the elephant would definitely make you think that. It seems reasonable. Will you be adding 2 Warthog turrets on the back of it? How will the different turrets work? I don't know yet. I might turn them into, like, remote turrets that you can, like, control from inside. Because, like, I don't think they have visible, like, Marines manning them. I think they just, like, seem to operate remotely. We can fit Moas in it and pull a Hoth. Pull a Hoth? What? What do you mean pull a Hoth? What is that? Is that a reference to something? No. I'm gonna ping Drake again. It's already 10. Maybe a mobile multiple seat vehicle base? Yeah, I was planning on putting seats in it, just like the Pelican. It's gonna be a ground Pelican. Trust me, it'll work. It's a great idea. So let me Are you going to add more health to the vehicle, considering it's on the ground? An easy way target to destroy. Yes, it's going to be very, very, very tanky. It's going to be invisible for the first 3 playtest. What? Are you... Wait, what? Elephant Chungus. What's going to be invisible for the first 3 playtests? Oh, invincible for the first 3 playtests. Yeah, probably. That's how these things go. You gotta start somewhere, you know? I'm gonna make it painfully, obnoxiously tanky to the point that's like impossible to kill. And then we're gonna tone it down from there. Did you ever consider making this a firefight map? Yes. A lot of people keep asking that. Yes, I do. I even said that, I believe at the beginning of the stream, that I fully intend to make this a firefight map at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. Like I was saying earlier, my main goal is my current goal is just to mainly focus on the vehicles for now. And then once I got like most of the foundational assets made and set up, then we can focus on building out the other parts of the mod, like AI and, you know, different infantry weapons and stuff like that. But the vehicles are just going to take so much time and work just to make, you know, that, yeah, that's currently the main priority. You planning on making to add stuff like the Oryx? What is the Oryx? I haven't heard of that. With a mix of invasion and gameplay, might solve your AI problem. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna consult Abyss about the AI stuff, because I didn't know you even could do that, and he would have to tell me how to implement it. We'll see how much longer I can go streaming for. I'm honestly kind of tired tonight, even though it's already only 10 p.m. I just wanted to, you know, do something to try to like switch gears while I wait for Drake and others to get back to me about figuring out what is wrong with my turret respawns. There is a small chance I might even end early just so I can go do other stuff. You never heard of the Oryx? It's like the UNSC Bradley IFV. No, I've never heard of it. What game is it from? Wait a second. Is this a fan vehicle? Yeah, this seems like it's just a fan vehicle. Because, like, there's already a canonical APC in Halo. It's the Cougar, if I remember correctly. Cougar is honestly goofy. I don't know. It's kind of neat. APC does not equal an IFE. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Although, to be fair, the Bradley IFV is... It's basically just a tracked APC that typically comes equipped with, is it a 30 millimeter cannon? Like, the only main distinction between the Bradley and the Stryker is tracked wheels and its main cannon configuration. The most real armor the UNSC has is that's not actually a tank, is basically just the Mastodon. True. Now, my previous comments aside, the Bradley's obviously like just a better vehicle than the Stryker. I think like a lot of people have mentioned that. Like a lot of like soldiers have like commented that like the Bradley is more reliable in many ways than the Stryker. And the Stryker has just like, you know, reliability issues, configuration issues, compatibility. A lot of problems with a Stryker. Yeah, most real armor. Oh wait, I have a soft spot for the Oryx because my dad drove Bradleys. That makes sense. Tracks are cool. Tracks are pretty cool. I don't know. I've always liked the look of the Stryker though, to be honest. I like wheeled APCs. They're faster and a little bit more nimble. Which I don't know. Something about that appeals to me. They also like. I like APCs because they remind me of the APC from Aliens. He's pulling his... Oh my god. What are we talking about? Oh, we're just basically nerding out over armored vehicles. Genuinely curious on what the plan is for this since I didn't know you were making this. It's just going to be a mobile spawn point, basically. I literally just felt like making the elephant. I've wanted to make it for a while, but like... I've been focused on, you know, getting the map fixed up and playtesting and making the turret. And yeah, I'm just like, I am literally just doing this because it's taken a while for Drake and other modders to get back to me, and I'm literally stuck. I can't really proceed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't proceed making, like, continuing development on the mod until I get some help figuring out why my turrets aren't respawning. So yeah. Unfortunately. So yeah, I just decided to make the elephant because why not? Wait. Add the Mastodon, then put a Scorpion Cannon on, basically a Striker. You're not wrong. Projector Shotgun is almost done with his map. I wonder what he's going to make next map. Be pretty cool if you and him make a map together. It would be pretty cool. But for that, he'd have to mod reach. And you just can't get that boy to mod reach, man. He like... Getting him to mod something other than Halo 3 is genuinely like leading a horse to water. He's just like... He is so comfortable with Halo 3 that it's almost impossible to convince him to work in anything else. Which I get. Like, for what it's worth, I do understand what that's like. That's why I'm modeling this in 3ds Max and not Blender. It's because I've been using this tool for so long, I can model virtually anything I can think of in 3ds Max with, like, barely any effort. Whereas with Blender, like, I can do it, but I'm having to constantly stretch my brain muscle. Do you have turret spawn time on 0? No, I have the turret spawn time on 1 second. What I need to do is I basically need to have the turrets instantly respawn the moment they die. Yeah. And right now, like, all other vehicles are respawning after 1 second, but not the turrets. And I've tried a bunch of things. I've tried adding them to the multiplayer object type list. I've tried adding the multiplayer object properties into the vehicle tags. I've tried double checking their settings in the scenario file to make sure that they're, you know, they originate from the editor, not the source. And yeah, I've tried a bunch of stuff, try to get them to work. Nothing's taking, unfortunately. Thing is, he modded other engines and hasn't had too much trouble. It's just if he's willing to do so. Yeah, no, it's a matter of his will. It's absolutely not a matter of his ability. It's just a matter of what he's interested in. He chases his own whim, much like I do. The difference is, this is kind of like just the fundamental difference in our projects. He hops from like random idea to random idea. And I do too for the most part, but the main difference is my project is kind of part of one big, broad project. Whereas his are literally a series of individual mod projects, which makes them feel kind of like random and unconnected and disjointed. Which is not a bad thing. It's just that I just like kind of funnel everything into one big picture. You know. But yeah, like I mean, like he's said so many times he would love to work with me on these projects, and I would love to have him. But it's like, and he'll tell you he just has a big problem staying consistent on one project, and he doesn't want to overpromise, and he doesn't want to like lead people on. Him and I have talked about this very extensively. We talked about collabs and projects and stuff like for literally years, but we both kind of come to the acceptance that like his brain just it's not really wired for that, and I don't really fault him for it. Yeah, it's just like how he is. And that's not to say we don't collaborate. I use a lot of his tags and he uses a lot of mine, and, you know, we bounce stuff off each other. And he helps me a lot with my projects. But to, like, collaborate earnestly on a single mod project together, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. Just because of the way he works. Green trying to get RJ to help him with his project would be impossible. I feel like RJ actually hates Halo 4 mod tools. I mean, they are pretty hateable. Yeah. Like, certain things are vastly easier, but other things are needlessly broken or complicated. It's honestly a toss-up. The Halo 4 engine is the most capable within the MCC, but that it's like, and a lot of things are way easier, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is, you know, smooth sailing. Like, for an example, take like exporting a map and lighting it takes maybe 1/10 of the time that it does in Halo Reach if you were to do it in Halo 4. However, Halo 4's Sapien editor is just objectively far worse than Halo Reach's. It doesn't... like the window docking is messed up, and like Halo 4 crashes if you try to drag and drop tags into Sapien, and like importing sounds, it requires a WWise account. There's just so much BS that you got to do in Halo 4, and like, you know, modifying the UI is a pain in Halo 4. There's good skeleton in that Halo 4 engine tools, mod tools. Whew. I need to make more shorts. I need to make more shorts to grow my channel. That's what I need to do. I know. I know. Need to set aside time. Skeleton as in a rotten corpse, but can do cool things. It's not a rotten corpse. It's, and honestly, yeah, it would do cool things if people would actually give it a chance. Like Halo Effect mod, that thing is insane. Yeah, dude. It's capable of really cool things. you start the elephant as a cube? No. Halo 5 modding was never given tools or a chance with a PC version. Yeah, man, the things you could probably do with the Halo 5 engine. Be nuts. Be nuts! Modding Halo 5 Warzone would go hard. That would be sick. I still find it crazy that Halo Wars 2 and Halo 5 still aren't on Steam. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it takes work and money to do that stuff, man. Although, yeah, I agree. They should, like, just find a small studio to port them. Who knows? Maybe they will someday. Crazier things have happened. Well, it's not like they're broke. Yes, it kind of is. I hate to say it, but yes, it kind of is like they're broke. Xbox has been... I don't know how tuned in to the industry you are, but Xbox has been struggling pretty hard for the last several years. In terms of, like... Obviously, Microsoft's not broke, right? They're one of the largest companies in the world, but Xbox as a brand, its profitability, its return on investment, its share of the market, it's been not great. And it's been that way for a while. So when you are not a profitable subsidiary, you don't get the funding and resources you need to do a lot of things, and you sure as hell don't have like a blank check to just do ideas simply because you think they are cool, unfortunately. Everything has to go through just massive amounts of you know, internal and external studies and focus groups and market analysis and yada yada yada. An idea simply being good or fun, unfortunately, in the business world, does not mean anything. Even if you say like, oh, people would throw money at it, it's like, okay, come up with like a 10-point plan to make people throw money at it. Show the verifiable metric data to prove to us, you know, board members and investors, that people absolutely 100% will throw money at it. And we need to know how much money they will throw at it. They need to know how frequently they will throw money at it. They need to know what timetable in which people will throw money at it, you know? Well, Microsoft wouldn't let Xbox just die. I have high doubts. No, they wouldn't let the brand die, but the fundamental, like, gaming industrial complex that we understand as Microsoft, that can absolutely die. If they are trying to basically sustain an unsustainable business model, they will absolutely let it die. What you and I know today as Xbox, that doesn't, there's no way that needs to be permanent. They can gut, I mean, like, they already kind of have done it in many ways. They've gutted countless studios. They've fired, like, an incalculable amount of contractors and studios, and closed down studios and canceled games, all in the effort to cut costs. When, like, you know, obviously doing this reduces the quality of a lot of games. It burns, you know, world-class talent. It leads to, like, studio instability, because, like, I mean, just like constantly shuffling between hundreds and hundreds of game developers between different studios at like a quarterly rate does not build any kind of internal consistency or confidence or morale. It's literally just a revolving door of random game developers that get hired on for temporary contracts, and they have to scramble to, like, you know, learn the proprietary tools and pipeline of individual studios. They have to, like, sync up, get to know their team, learn how to work well with their team. Like, it can take, especially in my case, it takes the average game developer at least 3 months at a new studio to start being truly productive in a meaningful way. 3 months. And, like, say if your contract is 6 months, you know, or a year, or just less than a year, 3 months is a huge amount of time. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, they're doing all these things regardless of how destructive they are, in an effort to cut costs. They'll do anything to cut costs, even if they're short-sighted and destructive and won't actually, like, result in higher quality products or even a sustainable business. As I like to say, they will spend billions of dollars to save a dime. Sorry, another game industry rant right there. I wouldn't even say I'm salty or even burned out at this point. I'm just, you know, pragmatic. Anyway, the point is, would Microsoft let Xbox die? Yes, they would. What you understand as Xbox, they would absolutely let it die. In fact, they would be the ones loosing the guillotines. They would hang on to the brand, and that, I mean, like, as evidenced by the whole "this is an Xbox" ad campaign, right? Like the concept of what is an Xbox is clearly, in their minds, very malleable. It was kind of like a way to test, like, if Xbox is no longer a physical game console or a multimedia machine, then we need to find some way to get people on board with the idea that Xbox is just games as a service, right? Or it's just a brand, or it's just a, you know, a sticker you slap on the side of a smart TV or something, you know. And they've been trying to do this for years now. They've been trying to invest in cloud gaming and games as a service and stuff, because physical consoles and physical games, they are trying to eliminate. I mean, on the dev standpoint, I don't even think getting old developers back would help much for 343. Look at Bungie nowadays and compare them to their Halo days. Yeah, I mean, like, and even then, like, I mean, for what it's worth, a lot of people glaze classic Bungie, but even classic Bungie had problems. You guys got to remember, they barely squeaked out those old Halo games, man. Halo 2... and Halo 3, they were just absolutely, just like rife with internal problems and development hurdles, and like Halo 2 almost didn't happen. Yeah. And like even then, we have the benefit of hindsight and nostalgia, but I remember having many complaints about Halo 2 and Halo 3 back in the day. Obviously, like, it's pretty easy to look at modern game development and be like, well, clearly we need to, you know, just trust the old masters. But it's a double-edged sword, and it is heavily blinded by nostalgia. That is to say, you know, like, I do think that the old games have fundamentally better design principles all up, and I'm not saying, like, I wouldn't say Halo Infinite is better than any of the classic Halo games necessarily, but yeah, I just, yeah, I do think that simply getting classic Bungie devs on board might not be the move, because if you remember, there actually were like one or two classic Bungie devs who helped found 343. I forget which one was this really notorious writer on Halo 3 helped basically found 343. I think it was Frank O'Connor. And it was actually a lot of his writing decisions that led to like a lot of the Reclaimer stuff that people didn't like. It's kind of why I care more about mods for Halo than Halo right now. Yeah, I get it. I mean, they barely did soon. It became masterpiece. Also, I mean, like, keep in mind, they did bring on ex-Bungie developers. In Halo Infinite, they brought back Jason Statham to help turn the project around. And I mean, like, he did a lot of good for that game, but, you know, that's not... The problems with Halo Infinite isn't something that, like, an ex-Bungie dev can magically turn around, all right? Ultimately, the people within the studio are still beholden to the top-down decisions of the big publisher. So, yeah. And I will say, just anecdotally, and not even specifically about Halo, but just in general, it is 90% of the time the publisher's fault for a lot of the bad decisions in a game's life cycle. Like, it's not an absolute, right? It's not always the publisher's fault, but most of the time it is. Joseph Staten. Excuse me, Jason Staten. Sorry. I'm tired. And he was only brought on near the end. Yeah. I mean, like, he didn't have enough time to really, but that, again, that's like, that kind of lends to what I'm saying. Bringing in one ex-Bungie dev is not going to magically solve a bunch of problems. Hell, even bringing in a handful of them, that might make an impact, but, like, ultimately, the problems that lead to a lot of these, you know, subpar releases or whatever, the publishers are in charge. Joe was brought in to put Infinite in a launchable state. Yeah. Jason Statham. Yeah, I know. Joseph Staten. My bad. I also want to highlight that, like, the risk of assuming that old school Bungie devs know what is right for a modern gaming audience is not necessarily the soundest logic. Like, I have personally known many veteran game developers who, like, who don't feel the need, because of their veteran status, right? Don't feel the need to keep their skills sharp and up to date, and they end up atrophying. They don't keep up with trends in the industry. They don't keep up with, like, you know, what the market is saying. They don't keep up with, like, what modern gamers want. And they don't even necessarily always keep up with technology. And technology progresses really rapidly. So, like, for example, I have personally known people who worked at Origin Studios. Not Origin, the EA game client, but the original Origin Studios, the publishers of, like, Ultima Online and stuff like that. I've met a lot of old school EA guys, and, like, I've even known, like, one or two people who worked on System Shock. And these are guys who, back in the day, they were basically masters of the craft and, you know, pioneers and trendsetters. But nowadays, like, their 3D modeling skills, their knowledge of, like, what'll, like, appeal to a modern audience, or what kind of game, how games are made these days, you know, they're very stuck in their ways. Their knowledge becomes antiquated. And it's not that they can't make a fun game, but it's just, like, they end up making, like, games that just don't keep up. And it's hard to describe what I mean by don't keep up, but, like, yeah, they just have, they're just stuck in their ways, and their skills atrophy. Their design philosophies don't update. They don't, at the very least, they, like, literally are just, like, not keeping up with, like, modern skills, especially with art. The standards for art these days are sky high. If y'all aren't familiar with modern AAA art development, go to a website called artstation.com. That is the industry standard place where 3D game artists congregate and show their work. That is the main portfolio for virtually every artist working in the game industry, and sometimes even the film industry. I have a portfolio on ArtStation, as does virtually every one of my colleagues. And if you go there, you will see art that will blow your mind. And every single artist on there is basically struggling for work right now, because not just because of the current problems in the industry, but also just because it's viciously competitive. There are so many insanely talented artists out there. And if you don't actively work your ass off to compete with those people, then yeah, you're gonna fall behind really, really fast. And so anyway, my point is, there's a lot of veterans in the industry. I'm not saying the Halo guys are like this necessarily, but it's just tough to stay relevant in the industry, even if you're a veteran, you know? So yeah, like, assuming that, like, somebody who made, I don't know, Quake back in the day would know how to, you know, turn around a game like, I don't know, Overwatch or whatever, it doesn't necessarily work like that, you know? Darkside Royalty Lore had a whole video talking about how Bungie has always been dysfunctional throughout its history. Yes, I personally know an ex-Bungie dev who, who's, I mean, like, without mincing words, his life was basically destroyed by how dysfunctional Bungie was and how he was treated. Like, I'm talking old school Bungie. Yeah, man. It's not just nostalgia goggles, it's like, you know, having an inside insight, you know? It's dog eat dog industry even more so right now. Exactly. Joe's also ahead of publishing at Microsoft for a decade at that point too. I know what you're trying to say, but in this case, Joe literally came in to save the day. No, I'm not talking about Joe specifically. I want to make that clear. I'm not even talking necessarily about specific Bungie devs. I'm just more so broadly commenting on the logic that simply because somebody is like a veteran of like a classic game series, that they somehow have this like masterful knowledge that can help, you know, save modern development today. It's not quite that simple. There's a lot more to it. That's all I was trying to say. So how did Bungie pull off such great games with 343 struggles? Well, like I said, back in the day, there was no such thing as a day one patch. They had to succeed or their studio would close. And that's always been the case, and it's still the case today, but like, there was just a higher standard back then. You could get away with much less. I mean, I'm sorry, but I guarantee you, and that's not a studio-specific thing. I guarantee you, if the day one patch existed back in like the early days of Halo, they probably would have been tempted to do the exact same things. You know, just the idea that like, don't worry about that, we got to hit a deadline, just get it out the door and we'll patch it later. They would have been susceptible to that exact same reasoning back then, had that been a standard practice. Because the money hose is always running, and you have to get a product out the door. They're always in a rush and under pressure. So yeah. It is a lot of factors, but those factors mainly stem from the standards of the industry. Not to say that Bungie wasn't a world-class studio back in the day. They were full of very smart, very talented people. But like, yeah, it was just like kind of the way things were done. You either had to, you know, put out quality, or your studio would get, you know, shut down. Nowadays, you can put out quality and sell $1 billion game and have rave reviews and you still get shut down. At least back then, there was actually a reward for success. Did you hear the rumors that Activision will make the next Halo? Man, being a Call of Duty player and how bad our series is at the moment fills me with major anxiety. Yeah, I'm gonna be real, Chief, I'm not stoked. I haven't been interested in Call of Duty in well over a decade at this point. And I'm not... I mean, like, on one hand, I'm interested to see what Activision will do with Halo. I'm interested to see what anybody else will do with Halo. Like, not necessarily as a jab to Halo Studio, just like, I'm just curious. Because, like, the last time we had a different studio do Halo was Ensemble, and Halo Wars 2, in my opinion, was pretty freaking rad. I like seeing diversity. I like seeing something different. I like seeing a little bit of mix-up. You know, keep things fresh. And also, it's like, it has to be said, the stigma about 343/Halo Studio has not fully gone away. There are still people who hate on Campaign Evolve, not even for fair reasons, but just because they still associate it with 343. There's some people who literally don't know that they rebranded from 343 to Halo Studio or had a giant, you know, corporate shakeup. There's people who don't realize that, like, things might or might not be different now, or probably just don't care. So it's like, they're still kind of like damned no matter what they do in the eyes of a lot of the gaming community. So in any case, fair or not, I do think that, like, a Halo game made by a different studio, you know, it's going to, I don't know, be something different. But yeah, I do understand the concerns. Activision is not Activision themselves does not have a great track record. So I understand the anxiety. Dead Space remake moment. I'm interested in Sledgehammer or Raven Software. Just keep it away from Infinity Ward. Yeah. Oh God, how much you want to bet within like a couple of weeks people are going to be like, guys, we're getting Halo 4 again. Call of Duty studio is officially making Halo. Halo 4 and 5 is so back. Get ready for rec packs and kill streaks and hit markers and UAVs. Whatever COD studio makes that Halo doesn't have to deal with the yearly COD release pressure, might have to be able to pull off something fun. I disagree. I think if they're making a Call of Duty studio make Halo, I think they are going to want a yearly cadence. I absolutely think that. Like, it's tough to say because, like, I am of the official and outspoken opinion that live services are inherently unsustainable. Even the big studios can't do them anymore. Epic is moving away from, like, you know, seasons of live service and stuff. Like, they're just so unstable. Because you're basically releasing a whole new game every, like, month or two. Depending on, like, what your release cadence is. And I think that it's hard for me to see whether or not the industry has learned its lesson. Because I don't really play multiplayer games and I don't keep tabs on that stuff. But, like, I do think that a lot of game studios, unfortunately, are trying to stick to live services, and it's just not a good idea. But the desire for live services from publishers seems to still be in effect. So they're going to want to get studios to continue supporting live services. And if you can somehow make Halo another live service, but actually, like, you know, sustain it for longer, ? I think that would be something Microsoft absolutely would love to do. You know, you say keep it away from Infinity Ward, but Infinity Ward has the most experience with the sci-fi genre, so it should be made by them? I don't know, maybe. Despite its launch hate, crowd was pretty much the best sci-fi COD we got. Oh, you mean Infinite Warfare? I don't know. Didn't play it. Destiny 2 is gone too. I knew it wouldn't last long after the final shape. Yeah. Yeah. Bungie's just been, like, very unstable for a long, long time. And with Marathon, dude... It's so sad, but I think we can all acknowledge Bungie's cooked. Like, the Destiny, or not Destiny, Marathon. Marathon was the final nail. I'm not even, I didn't play Marathon. I can't say whether or not it was a good shooter, but it just wasn't enough. It didn't draw me in. It like just looked like another Extraction shooter. It just looked like another Bungie shooter. And like Bungie, while like the fundamental mechanics of a Bungie shooter are still good, it just didn't have anything unique that I could see. Its art style was like pretty novel, but then like the controversy about like how they sold that one graphic designer's entire portfolio basically, that didn't do him any favors. Man, it just wasn't really unique. And again, like, I'm a campaign guy, so like the fact that there wasn't a campaign meant there was literally nothing for me, so I lost interest. Despite the original Marathon being a single-player campaign. They're gonna need a Yoshi P-type person to save Marathon. Yoshi P, I'm not sure who that is. I don't think there is saving Marathon at this point. Like, didn't they lose 90% of their players or something? Are their servers still active? Hang on. I'm gonna do the thing every actually person on the internet does and look at the Steam charts. Oh my god! 3,000 playing an hour ago? Granted, like, it's 11 o'clock p.m. in Central US, but Central US accounts for a big portion of most games. Average players last 30 days. So March was 35,000, now it's 3,000. Oh, damn. And I know Steam charts aren't everything. There's way more players on console, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This is another reason I kind of, like, kind of resent multiplayer games. It's just because, like, everybody, like, normie players get way too invested in the business side of games when they shouldn't even be the ones even thinking about the business side of games. Like, half of online discourse around a game is just gamers arguing about the player counts and about, like, the financial, like, viability of a franchise. And, like, I get that it's a relevant conversation because it's like, if a game is financially sustainable, then that means you'll get more game and the game will get better, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, multiplayer games especially, it's like, players are so fixated on the internal economy of a game or game studio that they completely lose the freaking plot, which is to play a fun game. Like, play the game for the game's sake, not like the survival of the studio or the, you know, fiscal efficacy of its online marketplace or its, you know, ability to stream to an audience. I just don't like multiplayer games for this and many other reasons. I feel like it doesn't quite... It's not everything wrong with gaming, but it really does just kind of destroy the whole, like, culture of gaming in a way, or just, like, fosters a very corrosive gaming culture in a million ways, and you can read into that however you want, but I think that, like, fundamentally the multiplayer ecosystem is inherently corrosive. And I know that, like, there's lots of people who have made amazing, like, their best friends on multiplayer. There are people who have gotten married on multiplayer servers, right? Like, entire communities have spawned from multiplayer. I get it. I know. But I just think that, like, all in all, the multiplayer scene has eaten up so much of the industry and has created like the worst trends in the industry, because those trends all have a financial incentive, and when you have a financial incentive to do something, there's only ever going to be more and more and more and more of it until people stop buying it, stop paying for it. And the thing is, gamers have like zero impulse control, so they're almost never going to stop buying it unless they literally go broke. I like multiplayer games but hate live service games. Yeah, that's kind of my, like, if we could get back somehow to a multiplayer game that just doesn't freaking sell microtransactions or battle passes or loot boxes, just literally get rid of all the nickel and diming, all of the little knickknacks and tchotchkes and like the tertiary aspect of multiplayer games, and it is all purely about playing the game for the game's sake, then yeah, we could have a better multiplayer ecosystem. But the thing is, multiplayer games are not about the game for the game's sake anymore. They're about feeding like 3 or 4 other economies that depend on the multiplayer ecosystem. And like inevitably, the Goliath bloat of the multiplayer is going to suck resources away from all other potential aspects of the game, like story mode. It's another reason I'm a little biased against multiplayer. I mean, should we blame multiplayer itself for that? I want to be very clear. I don't think multiplayer in concept is inherently bad. I'm saying what multiplayer has mutated into in modern gaming culture is inherently corrosive. The idea of multiplayer is not bad, but the reality is that the way multiplayer is handled in virtually every game today, and it's all the same. There are like almost no games that deviate from this. It's all mainly just cash cow. It's all mainly just, you know, to exploit and nickel and dime players for everything that they're worth. And there's like virtually no exception to this. There's very, 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 very few multiplayer games that like genuinely respect their players for like their time and their investment and their wallets, you know? Virtually all multiplayer experiences by design are basically put more resources into getting you to buy stuff that you intrinsically do not need over any kind of like intrinsic systems or quality of life that would actually improve the quality of the overall product, the game, right? The priority is always just to get players to pay more money. That's what multiplayer is now. That's just what it is. I'm pretty sure one of the Star Wars Battlefronts did that, but then EA... Wait, what? I mean, the reason companies, players... The reason, like, we got ran. The reason... Wait. Should we blame multiplayer itself for that? The companies and players are the reason we got like rampant microtransactions. Oh yeah, I mean, like, it is a vicious system. Like I said, gamers have no impulse control. I mean, most people in general these days have no impulse control, because we're all like, you know, pretty much wired to constantly be scrolling on our phones, constantly be, you know, one-click buying things on Amazon, blah blah blah. But you know, it's like these systems have like made it so that the priority is almost never just making a good product, you know, or really even competing for business through the merits of the quality of the product. It's all just hijacking your attention span and your dopamine receptors. You know, IMO, one of the only exceptions. This is Helldivers. I was thinking of Helldivers the whole time I was making this rant, as one of the very few exceptions. Yes. Even then, Helldivers isn't perfect. I've heard plenty of like controversies and people griping about this or that. But yeah, no, like absolutely, Helldivers is one of the very few studios that seems to at least give half a crap about the quality of their product. And as pissy as that community can get about that game, I would still say that overall they're doing so much better than 90% of games out there. I mean, hell, I like you see all the classic, you know, like, oh, look at this weapon animation in Helldivers compared to Call of Duty, you know. The weapon animation isn't what really caught my eye, because these days, like, you know, every game has, you know, pretty generic weapon animations. The thing that caught my eye was the fact that Call of Duty is like a 500 gigabyte game or something, and Helldivers is like 25 gigs. That is what matters to me. It is an efficient, quality product that delivers on players' time and investment. You get something for your time and investment. What do you get with Call of Duty? Buy more skins, idiot. That's what you get. Although, to be fair, like, I'm being a little reductive. You get COD Zombies, and you get, like, you know, some people like the cool skins or whatever. You get, like, dumb shit like King Kong and Godzilla. Halo hasn't gotten any of that kind of stuff in a long while. Monetization-wise, HD Helldivers 2 is amazing even now. I don't know. I don't know what the prices are like. I don't know what their model looks like. I can say if I was in charge of Helldivers 2, nothing would cost over $5. That's just my philosophy regarding any game. Nothing over $5. Just like a helmet should not cost the same as an entire indie game. I'm sorry, that is just completely indefensible. Inexcusable, inconsolable. You're just not going to win logically, morally. It's just stupid. In fact, a great example, Ghost Recon Wildlands, one of my favorite games. It had microtransactions, and I bought a ton of them, but I bought them because they were fairly priced. Nothing was over $5 in the Ghost Recon store in Wildlands, and I got a ton of items from loot boxes that weren't very expensive, and almost every time I opened a loot box, I was happy with what I got. I was like, oh man, I've been wanting these things. I don't really defend loot boxes on principle, but it's like, even then, there is a way to make it work if you just care, you know? You gotta care, man. I just wish COD Zombies was more like the classics, and they even jingled keys by bringing the old crew back. They can't for the life of them seemingly make a good new crew. I'll take your word for it, because I never owned any of the COD games that had zombies. The last, like... I skipped World of War, which I know sounds like sacrilege. I skipped all of the Black Ops games. I played COD 4 through Modern Warfare 3, the classic ones. And then I honestly felt like I shot myself in the foot by getting Modern Warfare 3 instead of Battlefield 3, because Battlefield 3 was actually more up my alley in terms of taste. And I just missed out on Battlefield 3. Like, I missed out on, like, a decade of memories that other people had, which sucks. But, yeah, I haven't played Call of Duty, really, actively since then. Helldivers War Bonds are generally around $10, but the amount of content in them generally makes them work with it. Yeah, see? Like, how many things in, like, Halo or Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever are, like, $75 as opposed to $10, right? Man, that's another thing. They could cure so much of, like, the Reddit rage and the Twitter grumbling just by lowering prices. And it's like, and I mean permanently lowering prices. No FOMO, no limited time deal, no, like, season pass. Just like, hey, we're just gonna, like, lower prices across the board, like, perpetually. You know? That would just, like, automatically build so much goodwill. Just doing something simple like that. Like Halo 4 armor packs, regardless if you like them, were $2.50. Yeah, exactly, dude! Like, I'm not... most people, it's not controversial to say, most people didn't like the armors in Halo 4, but, like, if you could price them reasonably, you know, at least it wouldn't piss people off so much. I remember EA charging $75 microtransactions in 2013. Yeah. Yeah, no, like, isn't there that meme of, like, PUV, you're the guy who invented horse armor? Like, it's a picture of, Oppenheimer. Boy, this has been pretty cathartic, just ranting about the game industry while I work. Oh. I'm gonna theory craft, and I'm gonna. This is like not a serious thought. Please don't take this seriously, even for an instant. I'm literally just like pooping out of my brain, just like a thought that popped in my head. Okay, again, please do not take this seriously. I know there's obviously huge flaws in this logic. I'm just what do you call it? Theory crafting here. What if, and this would probably help the economics of gaming, right? What if, for like a month, just to give like indie developers some breathing room, because visibility, if you're an indie developer, is just like bone-crushingly brutal. There's literally thousands of games being released every month, and like none of them get any visibility because they're drowned out by like the same games. Everybody plays the Fortnite, the Call of Duties, the whatevers. What if for an entire month out of like, you know, I don't know, every few months, right? Every 6 months or so, Steam just delisted half of the games in their catalog. And they're mostly like AAA games. What if Steam did that? So you were forced to try new things. So you were forced to look at like honest to God good indie games that in many cases would objectively be better than the same like battle pass stuff you just like munch on like they're Doritos. What if, you know, just to help reset the market a little bit, to like churn up velocity of gamers' attention and their spending habits. You know, what if we did that? It's kind of like I've long theorized that like just turning off Twitter for like a day or two or even a week would objectively help humanity. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all social media. Just flip the switch, flip that breaker, turn it off for like a week. Go the hell outside. Go touch grass. Go talk to a girl. Go like call your mom. Go like take out the trash, do your dishes. I think it would help. I think it'd be good. You know? If we just like decided to just a giant Super Smash Brothers hand comes down from the sky, turns off Twitter or like goes on Steam and like delists all of the AAA games for like a month, so you're forced to play these really cool novel indie titles that are just brimming with creativity, and they're made by a passionate team of like 5 nerds in a basement, you know? I don't know, man. I think this idea, I'm just saying, mull it over. People just need to check out NextFX more honestly. I know, but it's like, listen, again, gamers don't have impulse control. They don't have a concept of healthy habits. They're not going to get off their butts themselves and try new things. What about games of the month or something like... Well, see, they have that. Steam has that kind of stuff all the time, and people ignore it because they're like, I better just go to PUBG or whatever, you know? You have to, like, forcibly interrupt their current dopamine tube. You have to, like... If gamers have, like, an IV bag full of dopamine, you have to, like... crimp the tube and cut them off and be like, oh, you want some dopamine, huh? You seem like you're really struggling, writhing around in agony. Here, try this other flavor of dopamine. It's $3.99 on Steam. It was made by like 2 dudes in a basement. It's really cool. It's like mixes elements of Star Fox and like Zelda, and it's like, you know, pretty novel and refreshing. It's a game design that people haven't experienced in a long time, but it's done with like modern graphics or like a new mechanic that nobody's thought of. Steam does put a lot of great indies in NextFX. Steam does a lot of great stuff for indies. They do the work. They try very hard to like shove it in people's faces, but people's faces can choose to ignore it. I'm saying, and again, I'm being mostly facetious here. Please keep that in mind. I'm saying Steam needs to take that choice away from gamers and force them to embrace things that otherwise they would just glaze over. Yeah. Control the market just for a day. You're talking too much, just shove the dopamine in. Yeah, exactly. Take your medicine, it's good for you. It's like the game market equivalent of eating your vegetables. Try new innovative indie title. It's good for you. It's packed with gamer nutrients. It'll broaden your horizons, get you to think a different way, make you even form new dopamine chains in your brain or something. Meanwhile, me waiting for Project Landsword to release? What is that? Anyway, I say all this because, truthfully, and again, I cannot emphasize enough, it's not enough to be good, because indies, like good indie games, are absolutely drowning. Drowning from like the overexposure of other titles. There is a solution to everything wrong with the game industry, and it's right in front of everybody's face, but they choose not to pick it up because they're just comfortable with the same Dorito garbage they've been, you know, munching on for years. It's like an addict. An addict needs to hit rock bottom before they can start to recover, you know, or they need like an intervention from somebody. Being not facetious for a second here, like obviously that's their choice and no one can help them except themselves. They have to choose to change. But I don't know. I also feel like if somebody like takes away your heroin and you're forced to quit cold turkey, I mean, you're not going to be doing heroin anymore. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what this rant is anymore. Where am I going with all this? I saw someone make a video about photorealistic graphics, and I'm not going to lie, outside of some characters at the center of the screen, all games are starting to look the same. That's just because of Unreal Engine. Photorealistic graphics are not bad. They're not stagnating. We haven't reached peak graphics. Technology is not incapable of progressing. It's just that everything is Unreal because Unreal has a near monopoly on game engines now. There are other engines that exist that look different from Unreal. There are different rendering methods that can make things not look like Unreal. Unreal can look not like Unreal if you're an intelligent artist that knows how to utilize tools to their greatest effect. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm like yelling at you or anything like that. I just like it is something I've seen a lot, and like, yes, you're right. A lot of games look very samey because they're just relying on the prepackaged Unreal experience and not really bothering beyond that. And it is leading to a lot of just shovelware slop because they've made it easy as hell to make a like marginally passable experience that looks relatively photorealistic enough, and they call it a day. This is why I go on all the time about the difference between art and graphics. They are not the same thing. Too bad they're all on heroin. I know. That's what I'm saying. Look, when you have like 90% of your population that are all heroin addicts, like sooner or later you just gotta cut off the heroin, or at the very least wean them off over time. Like, hey, how about today we don't do heroin? I think it'd be pretty good for you. RTX Remix in the corner crying. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, turn off Twitter and force Steam users to play indie games for a month. I'm gonna like contact the Stop Killing Games people and try to like squeeze this in. Hello, just joined. What are you talking about? I have honestly been going on a just like neurotic rant for the last hour. You're tuning in at a very interesting time. I'm just kind of just griping about the game industry right now. But what I'm working on right now is the Halo Wars Elephant. Currently I'm kind of blocked because of a bug where the defense turrets don't respawn, and I'm so stumped that I kind of can't continue working on the mod. Like I can't do another play test until we get that bug fixed. So in the meantime, I'm just working on the Elephant because I felt like it, and waiting on people like Rejected Shotgun to get back to me on Discord. I think it's great RTX Remix exists. You can remaster remake games. Wait a second. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up all the different NVIDIA things. RTX Remix, that's where you can like actually replace textures and lighting and stuff, right? If that's what you're talking about, yes, I think that's the coolest thing ever. In fact, I have been meaning to do more research on it because, like, from what I can from what it seems, you can mod almost any game. And I mean, like, if that's doable, I would gladly just, like, do so many other games. Man, you know what? I have been dreaming for years of personally remastering Assassin's Creed 2. Because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Assassin's Creed 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, but that game looks like dog shit. It is so ugly. Even by the standards of the time, it was ugly, in my opinion. And I've just wanted to give it a facelift for, like, since 2012. Or, well, since 2009, technically. But, yeah. And if RTX Remix does what it says it does, that might be a little possible. But then again, like, with the fact that, like, they came out with Black Flag Resync makes me think, oh, maybe they might do the Ezio trilogy next. I hope so. Do you like horror games like Resident Evil? Not normally, but my friends have basically bullied me collectively into playing it with them. Right now, I'm on... I played a little bit of RE2, and then I just, you know... I got busy, and my friends got busy, and, you know, we haven't picked it back up, but... I'm getting into it. I've taken the time to learn the basic lore and stuff. Same with Metal Gear. I have that same friend group are also big Metal Gear fans, or at least there's one guy in this friend group who is a big Metal Gear fan and has been slowly kind of giving us the scoop, and we're all playing through the Metal Gear games. And now I actually understand the plot of Metal Gear, as insane a statement as that is to make. It would be smart to redo AC1. I don't think it would. I think that Mirage was too much of an AC1 remake, to where, like, an actual AC1 remake would feel redundant. Not a remake. Mirage was kind of like a spiritual reboot of AC1. And I feel like Mirage and AC1 are too similar. I would just jump straight to AC2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. MGS is a fun time. It sure is. Some people would say the Mantis looks like a Metal Gear, whatever that means. Not the regular Mantis, but the Mega Mantis, absolutely. The Mega Mantis is straight up a Metal Gear. It looks like Metal Gear Rex. It even has, like, certain parts that were taken out of it, which were a very obvious reference to Metal Gear. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot the Mirage existed. So did everybody else. You're not alone. I played it. I'm not kidding. I played it for like 30 minutes and then I just lost interest. It was just kind of boring. The parkour wasn't as good as I thought it would be. And the combat, dude, like, it's bad enough that the facial animations were pretty mid and, like, the story just, I don't know, it didn't really grab me. But the combat, listen, you guys gotta understand, I am a weapons autist, okay? I am incredibly autistic for weapons. Like, I don't just do sci-fi stuff, I'm also, like, a huge medieval sword nerd. Like, armor and swords from across history, he's super autistic for that stuff. And Mirage was just like, they didn't have any real swords at all. And they didn't sword fight in a way that even looks remotely interesting or even cool. Like, the sword fighting animations look really dumb. And then, yeah, the parkour is like, it just didn't feel right. I need Rejected to make Metal Gear Rex in Halo 3. They would basically just re-rig the Mega Mantis. AC1 would just get completely ruined. I don't think it would get completely ruined, but they would... I actually think that an AC1 remake would improve the experience, because AC1, just like, even at the time, it was pretty clunky. I think that modernizing it would actually be a good thing. Give it like modern controls and stuff, and make it less repetitive and give people more stuff to do. I think that would be good. I just think it's aesthetically and thematically too similar to Mirage to really stand out. I think that newcomers to AC would be like, why did you give us the same game twice? And I know that like ancient Jerusalem is not the same as ancient Baghdad. I know, but the setting is, you gotta admit, very similar. In fact, Masyaf Castle, like literally the same setting. That's why I would like an AC1 remake. Oh man, but Altair is cool, and the Mirage guy, I can't even... Basim. Yeah, Basim was in Valhalla. Wait, another game I did not play. I didn't play Valhalla, even though they had an Isle of Skye DLC, and I'm Scottish, so you would think that would interest me. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, there was this game called The Saboteur. Yes, I'm aware of The Saboteur, which got rid of the itch of wanting World War II Assassin's Creed. Yeah, Saboteur was a great game. AC1 was very unique and had very bare bones, and while I do think modernizing would be good, even make it play like AC2 would be degrading from what it was, let alone something more modern. I gotta be honest, that just sounds like the same argument that Halo CE fans make whenever, Halo CE remake happens. They're like, why do we have to sprint? Why did you change this? Why does it not feel exactly like 2001? It's like, because modern games are modern. Even remakes are modern most of the time. I don't know, like, I get what you mean. There is a certain novelty to that bare bones experience. I just don't think that modern gamers necessarily want that. The people who like the bare bones experience are very, very niche. I don't think it would ruin the experience, but I do think that like the modernized updates are very necessary. Just to make the game sell, you know? You know what we need? We need another Red Faction. I have heard of Red Faction. I remember I was at my friend's house back when I was a teenager and watching him play Red Faction, and he was like going on about how like every object in Red Faction is destructible. I'm like, that's pretty neat. And yeah, it is very sad that literally no other game ever did that again. It's crazy. Guerrilla was pretty fun. The only modern game I know of, at least, that even does destructible environments, like good destructible environments, is Battlefield 5. Is it Battlefield 5? I forget which Battlefield it is now. But yeah, they like brought back environmental destruction. I want to ask something, but I don't know if it's a sensitive topic or not. You can shoot me a DM in Discord, and I'll let you know whether I'm cool talking about it or not. Not gonna lie, the sprint does break the encounter design in Campaign Evolved. A little. I think, for me, that mainly just happens on, like, the easier difficulties. I think that, like, on Legendary, it's not as much of a problem. You can't just sprint past everyone. But, I do agree that, like, you can literally run from your problems for a lot of Campaign Evolved. I'm also not one to complain about breaking the pacing, but yeah, like in normal and easy, you can just straight up sidestep half the game. Just send me a DM. Oh my god, it's 11:30. Okay, where am I with this? Sure, there we go. I'm trying to decide on art style for my horror indie that works within my own limitation of a non-artist? Wait, are you developing a game? Because if so, a lot of people tend to go with like that PS1 art style, because it doesn't take much to model, and like you can kind of fudge a lot of the details with pixelation. Because that might be a just make a P1 style game. Everyone's like, literally what I just said. Yeah, making it low poly or more abstract, it would probably definitely be the way to go if you yourself are not like an artist per se, or at least not a dedicated artist. feel the PS1 is a bit overdone. Maybe I can do PS1 Plus kind of reaching Xbox PS2. Sure. That might work. I would say though that like find a game from like the OG Xbox era or like GameCube era or whatever that has an incredibly distinct art style. I would say don't just rip off like the generic Xbox graphics look, because then it would just look like, you know, what's this mobile game from 2009 doing? Like, find a specific art style that really works with that more simplistic aesthetic, you know? It's the balance between art and graphics, you know? PS2 has a very broad scope of graphics, though, you gotta remember. That's very true. There's a lot of very visually impressive stuff that came out on PS2. Shadow of the Colossus, Ico, what else? Metal Gear Solid 2. I have experience in Blender, I just suck at it. That's cool. That's fine. There's a billion tutorials that'll help you not suck at it. Is this max? Yes. Yes, it is. I honestly just have a lot of my older games emulated. Harvest Moon to Animal Parade. Nice. Yeah, every once in a while I'll like see if there's a recompilation of an old game and take a trip down memory lane. I've been meaning to play there's a port of Star Fox 64 that came out that like uncompressed everything and you can play it at like 4K. Look through games from that era. In my head, it's something that is like Resident Evil, but stylized, cartoony a bit more. I get it, but still kind of vague and broad. Yeah, that's a tough one. I was thinking Fear. Fear is a good one. Doom 3. That's Xbox, but yeah. I think it's Xbox. When we get into Skibbly gaming streams for real. That's honestly a good idea. Like when Green streamed Halo Wars, that was like the most views he's ever gotten or something. I should probably do that too. You guys gotta understand, I'm still struggling with the concept of being a YouTuber. This is still relatively new territory to me. Yeah. I started this channel just because I had a very fun passion project, and the channel is really just kind of an expression of that. But I think that, like, these days, it's getting harder and harder to make money, and I might as well try to make some doing the things that interest me. So, yeah, it's not a bad idea. And I could probably be a lot more entertaining to an audience if I'm just, like, not working at the same time. I've talked so many times to Drake, Rejected Shotgun, about how he does it, and he says it's literally years of just training yourself to multitask, like entertain an audience and work at the same time. It's a learned skill, and I have not quite learned it yet. As evidenced by the fact that, like, even now, I'm distracted by, like, manipulating polygons and not reading chat. I'm pretty sure he got the most views when he started playing Smash Bros. After... No, that's what it was. You're right. It was Smash Bros., not Halo Wars. To be fair, though, I think the algorithm kind of helped him because Smash is just a bigger game property than Halo Wars, right? And especially Halo modding. It would be chill. It would be chill. Chill it would be indeed. When I searched about Marathon in Halopedia, there isn't any info about its top speed. Oh, the Mastodon. What do you think is the best top speed for it? I don't know, man. Units... world units in Halo are incredibly nebulous. It's hard enough just trying to figure out how freaking long things are in relation to real-world objects, let alone speeds. Like, because they don't measure, in the Halo engines, they don't measure in miles per hour or even kilometers per second or whatever. It's like world units per, I don't know. They just have like a single numeric value. They don't have like a metric. It's like, give your vehicle a forward velocity of 5, whatever 5 means. And unfortunately, like, I'm not much help. Halopedia is obviously going to be a better source than me because, like, I think in terms of in-game mechanics. Because I work on the video game, not like just the lore. And my video game stuff isn't always heavily determined by lore. Kind of like Rejected, like it has to be fun in the video game. That said, I do care more about lore than Rejected does. I'm one of those people who does not hate the books. I think the books are pretty cool, and part of the fun is making the book stuff playable. But yeah, I don't know about the specific speeds of different vehicles. Pretty hard to figure that one out. Rebecca seems to not really care at all about lore, to be honest. The way he rants about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. It's like... I do understand where he's coming from when he rants about it. I see what he means when it's like there's some people who are just like so fixated on the minutia of a fictional world that they get really in their heads about it and basically lose sight of like the fact that it's a fictional world. It's a video game. But that said, sometimes, you know, sometimes lore is cool. And like making things fit within the lore, it just tingles something in your brain, man. It's very satisfying. It's very fulfilling and rewarding. It's like, oh, all that mental investment I put into learning the lore is paying off. You know, it's validating. I get it. I see both sides. It's also like, I think honestly the single main appeal of being a lore nerd is if excuse me, my throat is kind of dry right now. One of the main appeals of being a lore nerd is literally just if your knowledge ever shows up in an actual like movie or another game or whatever, you literally just get to like tap your friends on the shoulder and be like, oh my god, it's that thing I know. It's that thing I know that's about to happen. Watch, this thing I know is about to happen. Oh my god, the thing I know happened. You know? Like, that's the novelty of being a lore nerd. Is just like getting a little bit of inside knowledge before everybody else. Seeing things coming. That's what it's all about. It's like, it's really fun. That's why, like, The Bad Batch and, like, Clone Wars and Rebels was so much fun for me to watch, because I'm like, oh my god, is that the thing? It's the thing! It's the thing I know! Oh my god, huge! Crazy! That's nuts! Meanwhile, I'm cut content lover, but I just want to see all cut content. I do too, man. It's like, that, to me, I've talked about this so many times, they really do, 343 really just needs to reference the books, and like, they don't have to make up anything. They don't have to spend any more time writing anything new for like a good long time. All they have to do is just make the books real. Make games based on the books. They will never have to make up anything. They don't have to guess or like brainstorm or scramble to like come up with new ideas. Like, obviously it should come up with some, but like, they really don't have to be that creative to succeed. Just make the books real. You have a good speaking voice and very interesting viewpoints. I really enjoy listening to you whenever I tune in. You should definitely do more on your YouTube channel. Well, thank you, Aerospartan. That makes me feel good. I kind of hate the sound of my own voice. So that, I appreciate that. I think that, like, I do have, a good ability to communicate my thoughts effectively. I do think I got that going for me. When I do talk on stream, which is not too often, yeah. When I ramble, I like to be at least somewhat coherent. Or try to be. Bro's one of the most casual sounding people. Really? I don't feel like I sound casual at all. I feel like half the time I sound like a raving lunatic. I guess it depends on the topic. There are certain things I'm extremely passionate about. And when I talk passionately, I feel like I sound like a bit of a maniac. I'm just passionate like that, man. I love the Clone Wars 3D cartoon when I was a kid. I also enjoyed the 2D one as well, but it was coming out as I was born, so just before my time. Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very weird seeing the 3D cartoon come out years after the 2D one came out. Because the 2D one is from like, God, I'm really unkifying myself, but came out in 2003. And I was like, no, 2002 or 3 or something, maybe 2004. I don't freaking remember. It was when I was a young teenager. Like I was 12 or 13 or something when it came out. And then the Clone Wars 3D show came out in like 2009, I think, 2008. Um, uh, and I hated it at first because I'm like, oh, so this is just a 2D show, but it has like nothing to do with the 2D show. They just kind of took the art style and made it 3D, and then it just the movie does not do the Clone Wars justice. Like the first movie that came out does not do the whole series justice. If you watch the movie, you'll think like this is the most kiddie, annoying BS I've ever seen in my life. And then the show goes on to basically be sci-fi Game of Thrones. Um, yeah. Clone Wars, like the meteoric uh rise of Clone Wars really needs to be studied by science. Oh crap, Halo 4 music. Ah, dang it. Yeah, YouTube's gonna not like that. 2008, yeah. I was born in 03, and the 2008 show was my jam. The movie is garbage, though. The show really grew with me, though. Yeah. Seeing the glow up from the movie to, like, season 7, it's like... God, it's insane. Dude, season 7 of Clone Wars is literally the only time Star Wars made me cry. The finale was that good. Since you're gonna add the elephant to the mod, is it gonna be as slow as a Halo 3 or a bit faster? Maybe a bit faster, to be honest. So since you can sprint, it's gonna be faster. The Halo 3 elephant is just so painfully slow. It's so slow that most people don't bother driving it half the time. I want there to be a use to driving it. That's why I feel like people to put turrets on it in Forge. Yeah, and I mean like, hey, there's gonna be plenty of turrets on it this time. So we need one there, one there, one there, and one there. Burying the Dead is one of my favorite tracks from Star Wars still. Yeah. The first Clone Wars movie looks like a PS2 game compared to the mall show now. I know! That's another thing. Their animation pipeline has gotten so damn good over the years. It used to be like kind of a, let's be honest, a bit of an ugly art style, and then like it got so polished over the years, to the point that like some shots in Bad Batch like just look so incredibly filmic. Like the Bad Batch show looks like a movie in many shots. Could the elephant be able to spawn smaller vehicles inside of it, like the current base? We actually had a conversation about that earlier. Somebody I kind of misremembered and thought that the elephant, the elephant spawns mongoose or something. It turned out not to be the case, but it is a neat idea and could be doable. Oh man, well honestly guys, it's midnight, and I feel like we've made a decent dent in this already for like one night. If I had started this earlier, like half the thing would be finished by now, but yeah. I just wanted to do something a little chill. I haven't, like I said, I haven't made actual art in a second, so this felt good to just like relax and make something. And how the show even looks miles better than that. Alright. There's a concept art showing the inside of the Halo Wars anything not too big. It's like a 6-seater vehicle in back. Oh. Isn't Halo Legends music claimable? Oh, crap. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'll deal with it later. Anyway, I'm getting a little tired. I'm gonna go probably make some food and chill out for the night. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate it. This is pretty cathartic to just make stuff and rant for a couple hours. Yeah, I'm gonna consider like expanding my YouTube channel, perhaps doing some Let's Plays, doing some commentary. I don't know. I definitely need to make more shorts, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off for the night. Thank you, everyone. And peace out.